Anthony's just starting his third year as a PhD candidate at the School of International and Political Studies in the Faculty of Arts and Education at this campus. His supervisor is Associate Professor Matthew Clark, and Anthony is going to talk to us to pose the question, how do international development agencies operate in Myanmar?
Myanmar, better known to many people as Burma, is a desperately poor developing country. At least half the population live on less than $1 a day. Some suggest up to 90%. Definitely, 90% of all births occur in village houses without medical attention, and 75% of children are underweight. Now, under normal circumstances, we'd expect a concerted global effort to address these kinds of concerns. But Myanmar is a very complex context for agencies to operate in. 20 years ago, Aung San Suu Kyi won democratic elections in the country and was never given power. Instead, she's been imprisoned for 15 of the last 20 years. Myanmar has had a military government for the last 48 years and has a terrible track record when it comes to human rights. So while Myanmar has very significant need, it faces some of the toughest international sanctions in the world and receives the least amount of international aid of any of the least developed countries. So working in Myanmar is a balancing act between the international community on one side, who is concerned about perpetuating or extending the life of military rule in Myanmar, and the Myanmar government, who are deeply suspicious of all international agencies. My research asks, how do the most effective development agencies operate in Myanmar? In particular, what do they change about what they do or how they do it because of this context? How do they negotiate for room to operate or for funding? How do they relate to government agents and officials or advocate for human rights? How do they partner with local organisations in Myanmar, most of which are not registered? And how do they actually work in local communities? My research has shown some very surprising results. For example, when agencies work in local villages, the more they get villagers to participate, the more effective the project is. Now for me, this was a very surprising result because I would have expected this to have too many implications in terms of relating to military officials. I would have also expected that people who have been denied permission to organise and plan their own futures in the past would be too fearful to get involved and actively participate. But apparently this isn't the case, at least not if it's done in a particular way. By examining what approaches are effective, my research has led to a range of recommendations, such as how to generate this sort of participation in communities, because not all agencies operating in Myanmar are, how to achieve sustainable outcomes, and how to most constructively engage with military officials and successfully advocate for change. The significance of this research is in identifying strategies that facilitate our assistance to over 60 million desperately poor people on our doorstep.